Good evening, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are. I'm Bongi Gladness, and today is a day. Here in South Africa, it's afternoon. I don't know about you. You probably are in your car. You probably are walking around, but you are watching us here on Cleveland Open Project. And hey, I am so excited. I have a Protect Accent team who are going to tell us about Protect Accent. And I'm so excited because we also have the founder herself. And that for me, it's like it's gold. And I'm excited because I'll be asking the direct person who's going to tell us all about Protect Accent. And hey, again, we are here, and my name is Bongi Kletnes, and we discuss Africa on behalf of Africans to raise awareness here on Cleveland Project. I'm sorry. Yes, that's who we are. Yeah. So now I'm going to start by greeting Mr. Ben. Mr. Ben, hi. How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you. Happy weekend. And how are you doing?
I'm doing well. You know what? You kind of make me nervous, all of you. Probably what you're going to talk about. It must be so great and wonderful. And I know that people can't wait to hear what is this Protect Accent?
I guess if you're asking me that question, I will turn that question over to the founder, please. Let me see.
Okay,
This
but
is
then I was just starting with you because I can just imagine that probably you have one or two things to start to introduce about a Protect Accent.
yes, please, Mrs. Goody. I yield this chance to you. Please, could you tell us?
Let me do the honor. Let me do the honor to greet her myself because I want to rub shoulders.
All
So
right.
you cannot just, take me in without me, feeling that. How are you? You know what? I'm so happy and I feel honored to be having you here on Cleveland Open Project, and we feel so great to have a project as yours. It's hence I'm kind of glitching and not knowing what to say about Protect. It's all Protect Pro. So I'm kind of a bit nervous about this because it excites me so much because I've actually found out a few things about who you are, and it kind of gives me goosebumps. How are you, Mrs. Goody?
Hi, Boggy. Thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege to be here at your TV station. I count it all joy and a privilege. And first off, I want to kind of invite you to kind of relax. I'm a normal human being. I'm just doing what I've been taught to do. So feel free, feel relaxed. There's nothing to be nervous about. So, yeah, I'm great. I'm doing well. And thank you for having me here. It's just an honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Goody. And I want to go to Dr. Odochi. Dr. Odochi, how are you? I'm honored to be having you right here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's also an honor to be here to talk about something that's so near and dear to me, and something that a lot of people, it will resonate with a lot of people, and especially the audience in Africa. I think that they will understand why this is really an important um, aspect of our society and something that we need to focus on to ensure that it is eliminated.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to start with you, Mrs. Goody, because you are the founder. You can actually tell us a lot. If I could start with you, it would be a great thing even for the people out there. Why Protect Accent?
I think that's a very valid question. Why? Why do we do what we do? Why do I, Dr. Udochi, Mr. Ben, why do we get up every day in the midst of everything that we have going on and decide to a lot of time, really, quite a sizable amount of time to protect accent? I'll take you back to when it all started, when I first arrived in England. So back home in Nigeria, I was born and raised in Lagos. And I would have thought that my accent was one of the posh ones, because I'm from the city. Fast forward to when I landed in the UK, it didn't feel like I could even speak English. In fact, I didn't feel like I could understand English because everyone was speaking very fast. immediately I knew I needed to do more to communicate effectively. So right there and then I started kind of racking my brain, if you like. I'm thinking, what more can I do to promote effective communication? And I thought, okay, number one, the first very, very clear reasoning that came to me was that I would need to create more room for understanding. You know, I didn't think about the other elements and dynamics that goes into communication because I thought it was just a matter of speed, you know, that they talk very fast, and I didn't think anymore about that. And then I started working for the NHS and doing my master's at the same time. And then, you know, as they do in these national conferences where it gets to a point and then they allocate people into like breakout sessions and they give you like a hot topic to deliberate on, you know. So I would find out that my accent does not fit the room. You know, at first I was confused because I couldn't tell what it was. I'm like, what could it be? What have I done wrong? But I knew nobody actually came to me and said, look, your accent is this, like we have had from other people. Nobody ever said anything to me. They left me thinking, trying to deduce what the problem was. But obviously, there was a problem because no matter what I say, there will be eyes rolling, the body language, and me, I'm somebody that is very sensitive and I pick up things very fast. So I started doing some sort of elimination kind of process, and I started looking at my environment more intimately, if you like, in-depthly, and I was kind of thinking, so this other person is a Black person, and she is well accepted. And her voice carries equal values. Her reasoning seems to be well accepted. What is the difference between me and this Black person? Then I started realizing that, okay, this person speaks like them. She's British, born and bred in England. I was born in a different country, which have kind of informed the way I enunciate and pronounce words. So, but then it wasn't still clear because I have never in my life heard about anyone being discriminated against because of their accent. In my opinion, accent actually shows that you know another language. And in this day and age of globalization and multilateralism, I was just thinking it's an advantage rather than a disadvantage. So I kind of refused to believe that I could be discriminated against, you know, because of my accent. Again, I was doing, like I said, my master's at the University of Bradford here in England, and I was doing the master's in diversity management. So I thought that I have been overly sensitized. So now I have a lens, this discrimination lens, whereby I'm looking at everything. So I told myself to calm down, that I will bring this up with my professor at the uni when next, you know, we converge for our lessons or our class. Nobody seemed to have, you know, gone in-depthly into accent discrimination. That then led me to doing my own research because I kind of figured that if I've experienced it, then somebody else would have experienced the same sort of discrimination. So I started doing research, and I found this project by some professors at Queen Mary's University. They have we're talking about 1999, 1980, yeah, in the 2020. So yeah, around about 2018, 2017. So I saw this thing and I said, okay, so this sort of discrimination actually exists. And I haven't heard about it. Nobody is raising awareness. Nothing is happening. In fact, at that time, there was dearth of literature in that area. So it's that study by Queen Mary's University and some old studies that were not providing any contemporary views of the dynamics of language in our contemporary world. So I couldn't really fully make sense of it. So it felt like the onus was on me now to project this sort of discrimination into different, to raise awareness basically into different spaces and look for my like-minded people who would share the same opinion. Because as at that point in time, I didn't even believe that anyone would take me seriously, because to me it wasn't a thing. How can you even prove that you've been discriminated against because of your accent? Because it could be perpetuated or overtly. So in my case, where it was like covert, how do I prove this? It will be my word against their words. But thankfully, as I started raising awareness, we just had people literally from the 6 continents of the world. In fact, Mr. Anyibe, known as Mr. Ben as well, is a witness. The first event we had people from all over the world, the 6 continents of the world, and I couldn't even rest because people were calling me from all over, thanking me like you did for raising awareness and saying that they've suffered this and they didn't know how to raise the awareness. Because again, like I said, it is not tangible. It's not something that's like race. So somebody says something, I say, oh, because I'm Black. So it's not something that is gender oriented, although it could be if you look in depth into it. But you can't tell by looking at me that I've been discriminated against because of my accent. So it's hidden. So raising awareness was the only thing I thought that could bring it to people's subconsciousness, not just to individuals, to organizations, and to the society at large. So that was how the whole initiative started.
Yeah, oh, okay, I hear. But then it's not even about where you are. It just happens everywhere, even amongst ourselves with different languages. It's not even about being in a foreign country. It happens everywhere. I have a lot of stories that I can tell you, but we are coming back to that discrimination because it's like everywhere. I want to come to Mr. Ben. Mr. Ben, can you introduce yourself and tell us how did you come about that you join Protect Accent?
Thank you so very much. Like you have just rightly mentioned, my name is Ben Onyuku Anyibe, and I'm into a lot of things, into consulting, mainly business and education consulting. And this is Protect Accent initiative is a cause I hold so dearly to heart. When the founder, Mrs. Goody, revealed this subtle discrimination and biases that go on out there, it resonated to me so quickly because I was engaged in as an instructor of English language in university and other institutions. And during this period, I lecture people from different nationalities. I mean, there are Arabs, there were French, Italians, you know, people from maybe Spanish, Russians, Turkians. And each of these people from different nationalities have a variety of accents. And sometimes the reaction you get from people, maybe when someone from a nationality different from theirs, or who is neither English or British or American speaks English, it's a giggle, like, you know, people just react in a positive way. But then, so I found myself like, as an instructor, trying to defend and encourage everybody to respect everybody in the way they, as far as they are in a communicating right. So that was, you know, it was easy for me to relate to accent discrimination, you know, having this experience and background with the English language. And also another thing that resonated and made me part of this is, you know, even these people I'm talking about, I came to the conclusion that, you know, these varieties of accent, in fact, adds beauty to the whole language. It's not something to be shy about. It's not something to, you know, disrespect people about, but rather, you know, it's something to, you know, make the language dynamic And then I found out that one of the main objectives of Protect Accent is also not only encouraging people to to respect accents, but also encourage effective communication. And that is where my job came, resonate. So I was in the business of helping people to communicate effectively, no matter how your accent is. I have had an experience where I had to interpret English to English because the accent was too bad. And the audience could not understand what someone was saying in English. So I had to, after the person, spoke in English, I had to also interpret it to English. So Protect Accent embodies not only the campaign to respect and preserve these innate ability or innate rights of individuals to speak according to their different ways where they're raised, but as well as helping people to communicate effectively. So these main reasons just resonated with me, and I said I am all in, and that's how I became part of Ambassador of Protect Accent.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ben. But then would you say maybe it's a pronunciation more than accent, maybe that you were dealing with? Because sometimes it's just how we pronounce, especially because of our backgrounds. Because our background sometimes can make us to have our own pronunciation. And now it makes us now sound as if we are not, having a good accent. I don't know, would you say maybe it could be our backgrounds and because of the pronunciation?
As a matter of fact, you are in the media, so you probably took a course in diction or things like that. So yes, pronunciation. Even there are people who pay a lot to learn how to communicate to the public. So these are part of language experience or effective communication. So even though people may come up in a background where they learn to mispronounce certain words, so these are things that could be improved upon or learned, and and that's part of what Protect Accent is in for, to not only just make people feel, oh, it is my accent, don't come near me, don't do anything about it, but as well as encouraging people to communicate effectively. So it is part of what Protect Accent is all about. So all that, both the discrimination, the bias, and effective communication is why this campaign is for everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Ben. We're coming back to you. There's a lot to ask around that as well. I want to come to Dr. Udochi. Doctor, how are you? Can you please introduce yourself and also tell us all about Protect Accent? How did you come about to be one of the team members?
Yeah, thank you again for having me. I'm a physician. I'm a primary care doctor and geriatrician in the United States. I'm in a suburban county in Maryland. And my practice is very unique because I have patients who come from 114 countries. And my practice focuses mostly on immigrants as well as minorities. So you can imagine this subpopulation of patients are patients who come from all over, and so they all come with their varied accents. So it is something that I deal with on a daily basis. You have to understand what they're saying in order to take care of them. And I think it's really important, like the founder said, Ms. Goody, that in this time of globalization, especially in our field, my industry, which is healthcare, when you're sick, you don't really care where the doctor is from. You just want to be made better, right? So it is really important to be able to value people, because we have a dearth of health workers all over the world in different hospitals, and it's important to be able to value people for who they are and for their skill set, and not because of what you think or perceive the way they are talking, right?
Yes.
If someone is a physician and they're taking care of you, and obviously they have that white coat and they have that stethoscope, then you know that they are, qualified to be able to take care of you. But it's something that occurs. And I think the reason why this resonated very well with me, and it does with a lot of people, like Ms. Goody said, many people reached out to her because in our daily lives, we are all from different parts of the world. You're going to experience, some people have experienced this. People have experienced a situation where they're somewhere and people don't understand what they're saying, or maybe they didn't get a promotion because people felt that their accent wasn't that of the upper class. Because in different countries, and I know in the UK, there's a certain kind of accent that is looked on as this is of the upper class, and other accents are looked down on, but that really should not be what should be happening. You shouldn't be discriminated against or given a role, because of the way you're speaking, but rather because of your intellect and what you bring to the table. And as we try to encourage diversity and inclusion, which a lot of people also can identify with, if you're being discriminated against on the basis of your race or your gender identity, those are things that are common and are protected. However, with accent discrimination, it's like something under the table, right? People don't really talk about it, but it's something that impacts people's jobs. And I know you have language even as a mode of communication, as what you use to excel and get promotions, right? Many people even have to change their accent in order to advance their careers. So it's really important that we accept people for who they are and understand that your accent is your identity. And I think the whole vision and mission of Protect Accent is to, in the Accent Charter, is to basically ensure that companies, health systems, everyone realizes the importance of accent protection, and that we all work towards eliminating this from the boardroom all the way down to the general workers, the teams. And this will ensure that you have a diversified workforce, and that the diversified workforce are able to bring their talents to bear. Because if you feel like someone is is looking down on you because of the way you speak, you might not be able to produce the best work. What does that do? It decreases productivity and profitability, right? And in healthcare, that can it can bother on your life. If you tell someone not to take care of you and they bring somebody else, that could affect the time before they actually start trying to provide that life-saving, treatment. So I think that that's one of the reasons why I decided to, join Protect Accent and to help promote it, because I think it's something that it's not looked upon, but it's needed all over the world. And we need to value everybody for who they are, not for how they speak.
Yeah, Doctor, it's very interesting for me because, with the accent, like you said, it identifies us. Like, should I go somewhere, maybe somewhere around the world, they'll be able to hear that I'm from South Africa. And just like a Nigerian going somewhere, they'll be able to say, but then that Nigerian man, without having a person say that I'm from Nigeria. So I love this as I'm hearing about this concept, because it identifies us. You're not going to struggle, should I come to your country? Even there in UK, I believe once you start speaking that you're from Nigeria, even though they could start to discriminate you, but at the end of the day, they're able to hear who you are. I feel like it's good to protect our accent, because they actually tell. So I don't know, Miss Goody, if maybe that's what you thought when you started this concept, or the whole organization. Was it because you were proudly Nigerian? You were saying, you know what, I want people to know who I am. I don't care where I am, because that's actually what I feel right now. That you probably said, I want them to know where I come from. I don't care what they say, but they'll actually be able to identify who exactly I am. Can you please just elaborate there?
Yes, absolutely. I think the two speakers, Mr. Ben and Dr. They have touched on very, very key points there. You know, when this whole thing started, by the way, I'm probably Nigerian. I mean, there is no, sometimes I don't even remember that I'm British, to be honest. So, because if you ask me, I'll say straight away I'm Nigerian. I'm proud of my dual nationality and probably British, probably Nigerian. But you are right in the sense that your accent is the embodiment of who you are. And I think Dr. Njide touched on something there when she was talking about socioeconomic class. And she was giving this example of the health sector, where when you're ill, all you want to do is to get better. You don't care about maybe the accent and the race of whoever is looking after you, of the clinician. But unfortunately, it's not always like that, because I have worked in the health sector as well. And you would find somebody blatantly refusing medication just because they don't like who you are. And they would ask you to go and fetch for them somebody that looks like them, somebody that sounds like them. So there are a lot of strings, if you like, attached to accent discrimination. And I think, like Dr. Njide said, that is why it resonates with a lot of people. Because no matter where you find yourself in life, you will need to project your voice to be heard, to be seen. And even for those who, for one reason or the other, have lost their voice, they still talk, they still communicate. In fact, I think verbal communication is just about 7% of the total communication. Like I said to you, when I was being discriminated against because of my accent, nobody verbally communicated that to me. It was the body language that I picked up on, and I started analyzing. I started deconstructing and trying to get to the root of the problem. And oh my God, it just like opened a can of worms. A lot of things that we call discrimination, even the very visible ones, are tied to your voice, to the way you sound, to your accent. Now, earlier on, you tried to make a distinction between pronunciation and accent. There's a very, very thin line, I would like to say, between pronunciation, because like you rightly said, your environment, your family, your community, where you are born, a lot of things inform the way you sound and the way you pronounce words. And for most people that are second learners of English language, you would have to learn that language in your own accent, in your own, how do I even make this clear? In your own language. So the way I wanted to use that word syntax, you know, the way I arrange words in a sentence to make meaning is different from the way you would arrange words to make meaning. The same sentence, the same thing we are trying to say, but we've arranged the words in that sentence differently because of the different nuances that we have as individuals, because of our environment, because of class, because of so many other factors. So the syntax may vary, but invariably the way you pronounce or the way you enunciate carries a lot of identity. In fact, it is just the embodiment of your identity. By that, people can place you on a socioeconomic spectrum. By that, people can tell, like you say, where you are, where you come from. By that, people can tell whether you are male, female. It's just a lot of things are tied into accent. I mean, like I said, if you dive into it, there's just this big can of worms that even our team, as hardworking as we are at Protect Accents, that we are still trying to unravel, because it is intertwined, it is complicated. I think the way I've described it to somebody before is like when you go for surgery, and Dr. Njide will probably relate to this better than I do. If you go for, say, an open heart surgery or something, and they are trying to move like a tiny, tiny nerve, kind of tease that apart. They use, like, I don't know if I'm right with the description, but Dr. Njide will tell us, like a fine, thin forceps to kind of tease that tiny strand of nerve or whatever it is aside. That is what accent discrimination is. you have to start teasing so many things. And that in itself is complicated. So we've taken on a massive project and an ambitious one, really. And we are glad. We are glad for how far we have come with the help of our able team and their support. You know, we've done a lot. We've done a lot. We've created World Accents Day. We've created the Accent Charter, which is actually the focus of this conversation today. And we've raised awareness in various levels with the help of our ambassadors from different countries. You know, it's just amazing how people have embraced, you know, Protect Accent. And we're eternally grateful to them for that, because without them joining their voices to our voices, I don't think that we would have gone this far so very quickly. So we are grateful to all those who have supported us in the past, those who are still supporting us right now, and we look forward to a very bright future with loads of interesting things, really, for Protect Accent and for everyone, because Protect Accent is for everyone. We are fighting for you. We are fighting to make sure that your voice carries equal weight with any other person's voice. What we are saying is that no accent is better than the other. We are saying that everyone has an accent. So for the fact that you live in an area where your accent is the norm or is the popular accent, does not mean that it's not an accent anyway. All it takes is for you to move from that environment to another environment and you become the other voice. Then people will start asking you, where are you from? You know, because that is you, that is your identity, that is your voice. So everyone has an accent. For that very fact alone, everyone should embrace accents, different, diverse accents. Yes. Employers that talk about equality, diversity, and inclusion, and they are so keen to employ people from a wide variety of backgrounds. They want diverse workforce. And then you are not getting to grips with accent discrimination. You know, that is why you see a lot of employees sometimes disenfranchised, sometimes they lose motivation, they lose the zeal, they even lose the will to lead sometimes because their voice does not carry any value in their workplaces, within teams, within the board level. You know, somebody talked about in the healthcare sector here in the UK, we have the NHS, and somebody talked about the white snowy peak of the NHS. Because when you look at organizations and you look at the structure, the hierarchical structure of organizations, you will find that the higher you go, for those of us abroad, the whiter it becomes. So the boardroom is not very representative of the population, of even the environment in which the organization is located, because you are supposed to reflect your environment, really. You are supposed to embrace everyone. So we are saying at this point that accent inclusion has gone beyond leaving it to the goodwill of the people. So if you accept me, that's fine. If you don't accept me, so it's okay. You know, we are fine. No, we are saying that organizations should sit down and structure a very strong policy that will protect everyone. Because even if your organization is so passionate, say about LGBT, say about race discrimination, nobody can say anything until their voice is heard. So if I want to raise awareness about my blackness and you take away my voice, or by some sort of way instill inferiority complex into me that I can't even raise my voice, how do I even then say that I've been discriminated against because of my gender, because of my race, you know? And another thing is that accent discrimination, I can help to say, it's like a glue that ties all the other discrimination together, because it affects everyone. It's not a black and white thing. Anyone can be a victim. And anyone from any socioeconomic background can also be a victim. So it's something that affects every individual. I mean, Ebongi, you mentioned that accent discrimination even exists within the same country. Yeah, like we have in the UK. In Nigeria, for example, there are some people from where we call Ibadan. They will always mock their accent and the way they speak English. And the Igbos, some of them will exchange W for F. You know, and they will always mock that. So it's deeply enshrined in every society. It's embedded in the fabric of society. So it's not a Western world thing. Although in the Western world, people from the Black and ethnic minority group feel the impact more because they are disproportionately impacted by accent discrimination on the backdrop of every other discrimination that they've had to come up against. So in that aspect, we're talking about intersectionality. Then the question then becomes, where does it even stop? So it got into the point where even my voice wants to be locked up. And we're saying no. We're saying this cannot happen. We're saying everyone has an accent and everyone should embrace accents.
It has to stop. It's not even about going anywhere to work. It has to stop even within ourselves. Like you say, like even here in South Africa, we having Zulus, we have different people are speaking different languages, but they still have certain way pronouncing certain words in English. We're not all understanding the pronunciation the same way, but you will find each other, like you'll find us laughing at each other, discriminating each other about how we say certain words. So it's something that is very important. It's significant for us to have some organization like yours. I believe even here in South Africa, if we can have a branch, maybe it might happen, even us as people, like within ourselves, in the environment that we're having. In our environment, we're having people who be pronouncing maybe a person, instead of saying H, a person will say H. And you'll find others saying, no, that's not, like we find us automatically criticizing each other about how we say certain words and even how we pronounce words.
Can I just jump in there? And apologies for that. I like the statement that you made. You said you find yourselves criticizing one another. And when you dissect that statement, why are you criticizing one another over another man's language? The question is, can they speak your language? So you are even at an advantage for speaking English and being able to speak your own language. But then we find ourselves criticizing, discriminating, even it goes beyond criticism, discriminating to the point of denying employment, housing rights, and a lot of things, just because somebody is speaking another man's language in the way they understand it.
Yes.
And
then, Mrs. Goody, sometimes you even find yourself going to another environment and you find yourself now having to speak like them because you're trying to protect discrimination. Like, well, with me, I'm very multilingual. It's not even about that. There are certain places where I get there, I'll speak like them. I will definitely want to speak like them. It's not that maybe I have a problem or what. It's just I can call it a gift because I can go to Zulu area and I'll speak exactly like them, and they wouldn't even tell who I am. I can go to the Sotho speaking people and I'll speak exactly like them. I can go to Venda speaking people. I could speak exactly like them. So it's sometimes with other people, it will be them protecting themselves from being discriminated.
Absolutely, Bongi. And what you've just described there is called code switching. Sometimes you do it involuntary, sometimes it's a voluntary action. Again, it's just that innate thing at the background telling you need to fit in. You need to sound like some people to fit in. Or it might just be you being generous, wanting to do that. Well, however, what they're saying is nobody should be, my own, is that nobody should be discriminated against how they sound. Whether they deliberately decided to sound however, or because that's why the accent elocution industry is booming. The elocution industry is booming because this has given people low self-confidence in any given environment. Can you believe that because of your accent, you find it difficult to get a job? That means your personal economy and even the community economy is impacted just because of your accent. Some that have managed to scale the hurdles and even managed to get an employment can't move on, they can't progress because invariably someone somewhere, a manager somewhere has determined or decided that that accent does not fit the front of the store. So they put them at the back of the store where nobody can hear their voices. And then people, they think sound in a certain way at the front of the store. So it's deep. It's deep, my sister. And I don't think even we have enough time to kind of go.
It's something very complex to explain or to identify, because it can be very complicated. Like me, I also have a helper who's from Zimbabwe, who's from Zim. I always try to because I want her to hear me. We speak English together, but I always try to want to speak like her because I want her to hear me. So sometimes in environment could make you end up speaking a certain way because of the environment. There are certain people who are not doing it deliberately. The environment can cause you as well to find yourself changing accent because of the environment. So we must also bear in mind that sometimes it's not like you're doing it deliberately. You'll find yourself, sometimes you go to people, they say, today how you speak, how do you speak? Because I know that when white people appear, you speak exactly like them. Like with me, people would say that when I'm in the environment of white people, literally, should you be on the other room, you would think that I'm white, because the environment as well could actually make you find yourself. It's not like you want to fit in, but it's that thing of you wanting to be heard, wanting clearly. Because with my helper as well, I wanted to hear me clearly, so I speak like her. So I wanted to hear me. It's not that I'm having a problem with my accent, or maybe I'm having a problem with who I am. Environment sometimes can make you find yourself speaking like that. Mr. Ben, what is it that you think about that? Maybe I might not be saying what you want to hear, but what do you think about it?
I was just going to say that you should join the Protect Accent campaign. Very much welcome. Today we have a very crucial project, or a goal, a target that we want to also explore. Maybe as we go on, we will dive deeper into some of these business. But then I think we should progress so that we can achieve presenting the Accent Charter as we have but
as a teacher yourself, Mr. Ben, as a teacher yourself, how far have you gone as a teacher? Because in communication, how far have you gone? What have you been like experiencing?
A lot of things. I mean, just like we're saying, one, from the employers, just like you're saying, the employers even around here in Turkey would, and elsewhere, not only in Turkey, they would maybe have their preference because they love, they want to, project their schools as American accent-based institutions or British-based institutions. Somebody can even walk up to you. He said, "Do you speak American English or British English?" And so, as a result of that, you got a situation where a full-fledged, experienced, exposed instructor of English language will join an institution, and they will ask you to change your name.
Oh.
Using your name, your native name. You want you to change your name, even deny your nationality in order to promote the image of the school. So these are some of the things that are, I think is unacceptable. And Protect Accent it's about pushing this agenda so that it resonates with every institution, every organization, until people get the message that, look, you just accept me, the way I am, who I am, respect who I am, which accent is part of who, my whole identity. So I think that's what it's all about. There is so much experiences when you're trying to teach people either English as a second language, or you're trying to learn French. Sometimes I was appointed to do a role play in a French class, and when I ventured to do what the teacher asked me to do, the teacher decided to scrap the whole program. He said that I sounded too funny, and There are so much,
Yeah.
so much,
Yeah.
so much that goes on in when it comes to accent. But I think I'm let's sell the protect accent charter as we go on. Everybody listening to us, this is a fight. This is a war. This is something that has to, we have to all join in to make sure that we pass this message to everybody who needs to hear it.
And it's very interesting. I'm telling you, it's very interesting. I'm already interested as well to want to understand, like, how are people what is it that are people experiencing out there in terms of their accent? Because some people they don't even do it deliberately. They just find themselves in environments and they see themselves like kind of joining in. Not that you want to fit in, but it's just the accent that pushes you because of the environment that you're in. Doctor, what can you tell us about your experiences?
Well, I mean, it's really, I was listening to all of you, and I was just smiling because, I guess Mr. Anyibe has already asked you to think about becoming a brand ambassador for, Protect Accent where you are. I think what you talk a lot about is code switching, and that's great. Code switching is good, especially in the creative industry, where you can use that, to get certain roles and advance your career. I mean, we even see on TikTok, we see on Instagram and different shows where you have somebody like Trevor Noah. He's from South Africa, and he's mimicking accents of Nigerians, and people, like that. He gets a lot of likes. It goes viral. So, I mean, in that setting, that is what we want. We want to say that everyone has something unique about them, that your accent is your identity and your accent should be celebrated, right? We shouldn't look down. There's no accent that is better than another person's accent. And if you decide to code switch for your own, just by your own self, that's on you. It's not, that's something you want to do, and that's fine. That's okay. But you shouldn't be looked down on if you're not code switching, if you're just sticking to who you are and you don't have that gift of being able to code switch. So we're saying that everyone identifies with their accent, and everybody's accent should be respected. Yeah. And everybody's accent they bring something to the table, should not be looked on as something that is, less than. So that when you are in a team working, whether you're in the creative industry, whether you're in healthcare, whether you're in business, whatever industry you're in, that you should be celebrated for what you bring to the team, for what you're able to do with your own talent, and gift, and not, devalued because you speak in a certain way. I mean, we all know now since COVID-19, how we've all started working together. There's a lot of emphasis on collaboration and working with other people. And you can see that there are some people that are very talented in technology. There are some people that bring other talents to the table. So if you want, as an organization or as a health system or as a business, to be profitable and to grow, it's important to embrace diversity. And part of that diversity is accent, is to have a diversity of accents, right? People tend to be more creative, tend to do better if they are themselves, if they are not trying to mimic other people. And so if you really want to be a good business and you want to grow in whatever industry you are, it's important to allow people to be who they are and not to devalue people because of the way they present themselves. In that's really what the crux is with the Accent Charter. The Accent Charter is saying, no matter what industry you're in, no matter who you are, the heads of these industries, as you recognize and you're trying to embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion, to also remember that there's something called accent discrimination, and to also make sure that you protect that from the boardroom, the C-suite level, down to, the teams, to your daily employees, that you value people for who they are, not for how they speak.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ms. Goody. What can you say, like, in just generalizing with everything that we've said?
I think everyone has made very, very valid points, including yourself, Bongi. And by the way, I extend the same invitation to you to join us as an ambassador, because I think you are a powerful voice and you will be able to project the voice of British accent where you are. Now, the Accent Charter is something that came about from intangibility, if you like, because like I said to you earlier on, the crux of the matter for me was, how do we make this seemingly invisible element of discrimination visible? Okay, awareness, we're going to scream about it, we're going to shout, we're going to get people involved, we're going to mobilize, facilitate, and all of that. But then, how can organizations show employees that they are committed to making the work environment as safe as possible, as welcoming as possible, that they are committed to creating an ambient environment for growth and, in fact, for change? And then I started thinking and racking my brain, and then that word, Accent Charter, came to me. Okay, we're going to have this charter that organizations will sign up to. But then what should be the content of the charter? Because I tell you what, the stress that we have gone through with Protect Accent, I would rather not go through that if all of this is just going to be a tick box exercise. Okay, we've done that. Next, let's move on. No, let's move on. I needed to make sure that we are seeing the changes that we want to see, particularly in organizations. So the idea of the Accent Charter came up, started brainstorming, and then created the content. And we're thankful to the organizations that have seen the value of the charter, the Accent Charter, and they have signed up to it. And by the way, if you to sign up to the Accent Charter, you have to come through Protect Accent. If you've signed it and it's not through us, Protect Accent, you've signed a fake document, because there are replicas out there. I need to say that there are replicas out there, and that is not from the Protect Accent itself. And that document is one singular piece of important document that have been protected in England. So if you're signing it, you need to ensure that your organization have signed the charter through Protect Accent. Now, having said that, if you're signing the Accent Charter, please don't just sign it because it's something that is trending now. It's the happening thing. Only sign the charter if you know that you are willing to fulfill the terms of the charter, because there are steps.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You are so clear. It's actually loud and clear, Ms. Godi, and thank you so much. You know what we've had today, it's very exciting for me, and I'm just thinking that people out there are also excited, like, to be listening to all this, what's happening with Protect Accent. And yes, I will take your offer as long as you are going to be one of us as Clevenot as well, to partner with Clevenot. If you want to have me, obviously you have Clevenot in your space as well. But on last words, what can you say, Mr. Ben, to just wrap up everything?
Thank you very much. And it's been a dynamic discussion. Yes, I was waiting for this point. Thank goodness that everybody has hit the nail on the head about Accent Charter. You know, it is also out there. Some people, when you say accent protection, accent inclusion, they vaguely understand what that is all about. And when you explain to them, oh, yeah, it happened to me, they relate to it, and then that's it. They don't know how to go forward in helping to make this a very successful campaign. So the Accent Charter embodies that step forward. So Accent Charter will make organizations to sign. We are in to respect or adopt accent inclusion in our institution, in our company, in our corporation, or in the government organization. Apart from that, there are people who make policies, who make, regulations. When government agencies or big organizations sign into Accent Charter, it means that they become part of influencing policy making in making sure that, the accent protection and inclusion gets the kind of authority and backing that it needs. So that's where the Accent Charter comes in. So if you are listening and you understand this campaign, what it's all about, and you want to be part of it, you want to promote it, you want to make it successful, you want people's accent to be respected, celebrated, embraced, then you need to come up and reach out to Protect Accent to sign the Accent Charter. It's like identifying with pragmatic intentions that this thing has to be done. And that's what the Accent Council. So I hope everybody listening to us out there will not just say, oh, I understand what they're saying. You have to come on board and sign the Accent Charter.
And sign it, yes. And thank you so much, Mr. Ben. Doctor, your last words.
I wanted to say to the audience, thank you for listening to us today. I know that this topic, resonates with everyone. I'm going to end by saying that your accent is your identity, and let's all work together to decrease accent bias and to eliminate, accent discrimination. So join us in this journey. And for organizations that are represented out there who are listening, please sign the Accent Charter. And as individuals, we can all do our own part in eliminating accent discrimination by embracing everybody's accent, and talking about and spreading the word about this organization that is doing such impactful work globally.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It was an honor. It was an honor. Miss Goody, what can you say just on your last words?
Yeah, very quickly. I just want to resonate what Mr. Ben and Dr. Njide has said. Please sign up to the charter. It is the first substantial evidence to actually show your employee and your team that you are committed to that change. You are committed to improving equality, diversity, and accent acceptance in your organization. I also have some words for both the speaker and the listener. Now, you do not put the burden of interlocution on just the speaker or the listener. If you're going to have a conversation, a communication, come to that conversation with the goodwill and make provisions for understanding so that you can have effective communication. So it's not a question of blame the speaker or blame the listener. Everybody have a part to play. Everybody has a part to play. Bring the goodwill, bring anything that can facilitate understanding, show patience, show love, show respect. When you come into any communication or to come into any conversation with any individual. We also want to say, in the way that organizations communicate, whether that be electronically or verbally or whichever mode or platform that they gather to communicate or share information, they need to kind of start teasing these things apart and start looking out for possible discrimination against accent and try to fix that. Contact us. I offer training on accent bias, and we can help you with getting to this with the linguistic diversity in your organization, just to make sure you get it right. I'm just passionate about it, not being a tick box exercise, to make sure that you're actually saying what you said you would do when you sign up to that Accent Charter. And thank you to all of those that have signed up. I want to promise you, we have not forgotten you. We are building the charter community, and we are coming up with something new. And I think everybody's going to hear this for the first time, the charter plaque. And that will be my way and the team's way of saying thank you for signing up to the charter. So we're going to reach out to every organization that have signed up to the charter with the plaque so that you can display that. And, it's just be wonderful for somebody to step into your environment or into your workspace, and they can see that they do not have to worry about their accent. They can be themselves because they can see that plaque.
Well, thank you so much for honoring our invitation as Cleveland Open Project. From me, Bongi Gladness, I just want to say it was an honor to be having you as a team of Project Accent. We'll see. We probably have future. No one knows. But then definitely I can just promise you that, because I know that I can just not have you for nothing. Definitely there must be a reason behind it. But thank you so much for being part of us this evening or this afternoon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll have you again soon. From me, Bongi Gladness, I just want to say to the three of you, goodbye. Thank you so much from us, Open Project with Cleveland. Thank you so much. We are discussing Africa on behalf of Africans to just raise awareness. That's what we're all about. And thank you so much. From me, Bongi Gladness, it's a goodbye and good night.
Thank you very much.